want to say hi to my friend Dave Yas, who is he's an Ayurvedic physician and teacher, and a teacher at the Tantric Alchemy Institute, I think, in Costa Rica. And everyone say hi to him in the chat. He's one of my favorite people in Albuquerque, and he's come to sit in for my class. And so if Geshe, you have the opportunity, to make me look smart at any time, that'd be really nice.
That's not difficult.
Oh, that's kind of you. Okay, that's it. That's enough. That's all I need. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna share my homework. Whoa, okay. Okay, quick homework. What is the difference between the way that the independent and consequence branches, the independent branch, the translators told me to slow down. What is the difference between the way that the independent branch of the middle way school and the consequence branch of the middle way school describe the relationship between a person and the mind perceiving that person? So higher and lower middle way describe differently the way that the relationship between the person and the mind perceiving that person. Someone help me out. What's the difference?
Well, the lower middle way, the independent branch, would say that they depend on each other. And the consequence branch would say that the person depends on the mind perceiving that person.
The person depends on the mind perceiving that person. Yeah, not quite. Anyone have an obvious immediate?
Lower
Yeah.
middle way, that some part of the object is coming from its own side.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So
Some nature on its own.
yeah, so it's actually higher middle way that says that they both depend on each
Oh,
other.
right.
Right.
Mingdra. Right.
Right. As opposed to lower middle way, which said that yeah, that there's some sort of person who exists prior to the perception in some way. Okay. Next question. How does the independent branch of the middle way school, okay, lower middle way school, by the way, along with most of the other detailists, sutrists, and the mind-only school, describe the subtle lack of self-nature to people? And then I want you to explain. So you're going to give me that in Tibetan and English, okay? And then I want you to explain what it means. So what's the Tibetan phrase or English phrase that that is the independent branch and by the way, detailist, sutrist, mind-only branch description of the subtle lack of self-nature to people? Yeah, cool. Right, Rangya Tupetse, which means what?
Self-standing person.
Self-standing.
Substantial in the sense of being self-standing.
Yeah, cool, great. What does that mean?
It means that there's something in the person on itself from its own side.
Well, that's
Self-standing and independent.
Substantial in the sense of self-standing. So what does it mean to be substantial in the sense of self? Describe a self like that.
It would be unchanging, solitary, and autonomous.
Not at all. That's a different one. That's going to be later.
You have to believe.
Just trying to make you look smart.
Thank you.
Have to believe exists some nature on some nature of its own.
Without depending on names and terms?
No.
And not depends on body and mind.
What would be the relationship on its heart?
Isn't it the idea that there's something out there that's separate from the body and mind, that there's a guy out there separate from the body and mind, that if the body and mind were to go away, that self-standing guy is still there?
That's
like
true.
a soul.
That's true. And there's another aspect to that. Okay. So in other words, they deny a person who could exist through some self-nature. Yes. Okay. And also have who has control over their parts without depending on them. Okay, right? He says as if he or she were somehow their master, their lord. Even uses the word "jay." Okay,
Like a soul.
yeah, like a soul. Okay, what about the Vatsiputria school? Utpala, you had it, but you were a moment early on it. How does the Vatsiputria school describe the subtle lack of self-nature to people?
Unchanging.
That's on the list.
Chick.
Yeah,
Tak
Doc.
Chik Wang
Solitary
Chen.
and autonomous.
Yeah, Doc Ji Ranglong Chen. Cool. Great. Wonderful. Bonus question is for Geshe Michael. Which is it's not a philosophical question, but Geshe Michael, you sent me to go check in Utpala's book. Are you there?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm listening.
You sent me to look in Utpala's book to see if we had some elaboration, especially on the difference between self-standing and independent.
Yeah, it was Rangkya Tupa and Rang Wang Chen.
And it wasn't bad. I mean, it seems like they both talk about depending on parts, but then maybe only Rangkya Tupa included control over those parts. So
Okay, cool.
I was going to write this footnote, but I wanted to ask you about a standard for footnoting each other, right? It'd be nice not just to say go to this book, but it'd be nice to say go to this other place in the Diamond Cutter Classic series.
Yeah, I have a very clear suggestion in my mind about that, which is to reference the folio number, which will never change.
Mhm.
The footnote number may change. The page number may change according to different editions, paperback, hardback. But and even the section numbers may change eventually.
Okay.
But the original folio number of the Tibetan will never change, I think. So
Okay, so use the folio number.
yeah.
Okay, don't worry about the section number. Do we want to refer to the fact that it's in this book series?
Of course, yeah. We
Yeah.
got to advertise our other translators.
Okay.
You can look, Geshe-la did a citation for another book in the series in Chuni Lama's Heart Sutra commentary.
Okay, I'll copy that.
So you can look there. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. I'm gonna unshare my screen somehow. Oh, here it's up here.
Oh, are you done with your homework?
That's all I got, boss.
Dang. Okay, let me. Oh, am I still projecting my screen?
You're not yet.
I gotta see why that's not happening. Here it is.
I was sharing.
Okay.
All my fault.
Are you guys there?
Yeah.
Can you see?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome to Dave, and a friend of Ben's is a friend of ours. Okay. Let's go, Dr. Kramer and Venerable Jigme. Do you want to be the critic?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Bungo nam kansak la sur tebe wang yur cha che kobo tar zimba ni kansak yang rangya tupe zeye gi zin sultang de sungba tar drubna rangya tupe zeye du drupar choko.
Is it supposed to be Suwatar?
Sungwatar.
Yeah, Suwatar. By the way, no, it's not supposed to be state. It is supposed to be held. Okay. All right. This connects to the last sentence we had, because as Ben pointed out in his homework, in the last sentence, like Ben and the parts of Ben, right? So we had Ben, and we had Ben's body, and we had Ben's mind. And it's similar to another case where Ben cannot be his body and his mind because he has to have both. What was the parallel case for $100? He,
Bodhicitta.
damn,
Uh,
Yeah.
I hate you. You're getting rich off of me. Okay, you gotta take me out to dinner when this stuff's over.
Sure.
Geshe-la, you're the only
Dinner.
teacher I know who gets angry when his students have learned what he taught.
Yeah, I'm the only teacher who's going bankrupt from his students getting all the answers right. Yeah, there has to be one thing that has two parts, right? So here, there's Ben, and then Ben owns Ben's body, and Ben owns Ben's mind. Therefore, Ben can't be Ben's body and Ben's mind. Okay, got it?
mhm.
So therefore, Ben is like the, how do you want to call Jewel?
I think I,
The master and his
Lord?
servants.
yeah, right.
Or culpo, yeah, his servant, right? Or it can also mean the master and his dependents, like the master of the castle, and then all the serfs in the area who depend on the master in the castle. Okay, got it. Maybe that's a better way to look at it. Pumbo nam kansa la tsurtupe wang gyurje. Okay, that stops there. Okay, between J and Kul. Okay, what are Ben's body and mind? Oh, well, they are the thing which is control, the thing which is had control over
Mhm.
by the Lord. Okay, and so they depend on, they look to the Lord for, guidance and, whatever. A tiny part of the food they grew. Okay. Okay. So they are Wangyurja. They are the object of this, what do you want to call it?
Master or something.
Master-slave relationship. Okay. Yeah. Slave is not bad, really. So they are the slave, which depends on the master, which is the Kansak. Okay, got it?
Yeah.
So the Kansak is the owner, and the mind and body, or the heaps, are the owned.
Right.
Okay, and so therefore, the mind and body are like the kulpo, which means like the slaves.
Okay.
Okay, now to that relationship between Ben and Ben's body and mind, if you Jumba it that way, Darnzin,
Think about it that way.
yeah, if you think about it that way, then you are holding Ben
Mhm.
to be Rangya to Bidzeya.
Yeah. Substantial in the sense of self-standing.
Perfect, perfect, yeah. If you think about Ben that way, like there's a Ben who owns his body and a Ben who owns his mind. By the way, linguistically, that's the way we always refer to ourselves, This is my hand. These are my thoughts, okay? So me must be separate from them somehow. Who owns them? Okay, so looking at the world this way is what it means to hold that things are substantial in the sense of being self-standing, meaning Ben is substantial and self-standing, and then Ben's mind and Ben's body are depending on him to be there, okay? And by the way, this is probably the most common viewpoint of reality of everybody in the world, okay?
Mhm.
And so that's what it means to think that way. And then, if things really were that way, okay, as they are held to be, past tense of Zin, well, that would be to exist, drupa. That would be to exist substantially, from in a self-standing way. Okay, got it?
Yep.
So he's distinguishing between the tendency to believe in that, which is here called Zeyuk Zintul, and what you believe in,
Mhm.
which is Zeyuk Drupa. Okay, now, one of these, what's the difference? Well, I'll say one of these really exists and one of these doesn't exist at all. Which
Right.
is it?
In this case, the lamki gakcha, or what's removed by the path, is the belief in
Good.
things as being substantial in the sense of self-standing, whereas a thing actually existing substantially in the sense of being self-standing would be a thing that doesn't exist at all and is denied by logic. Rikpe Gakcha.
Yeah, now I'll challenge you. If I had more money, I would give you some money for this, but
Stanley
take
took
it to the kitchen. Take it to the kitchen. Okay. A wife comes home. She's tired. She worked hard. She's brought the groceries. She opens the kitchen door. Her husband yells at her. Now, where are these two there?
Yeah. The husband that yells at her for no reason
Good.
is the husband who is substantial in the sense of
Good.
self-standing.
Good. Because he controls his words.
Mhm.
Okay. For example.
Right. Whereas the and doesn't exist at all. And
Good.
it's
Good.
denied by
Good.
logic.
Yeah.
Whereas her belief that he is yelling at her for no reason at all
Good.
does exist and
Yeah,
can
good.
be removed.
Good. Nice. Nice. Stanley, since
Hi.
you're so smart today, Ben said the husband who has control over what he's saying, right,
Mhm.
doesn't exist at that moment. How do we always expand that in DCI? What do we always say after that?
You can't control the present moment,
No.
but you do have. But you do have the control for the future because.
No, Sugang, you got it, Sugang? I'll say it again. I'll say it again. At that moment in the kitchen, there is no such husband there. And all of her upset is
Oh.
is meaningless.
Mm.
Okay. But we always say something after that. We say the husband isn't there and
It will not. It was
Never
not.
was there and will never be there.
And will not. It never
yeah.
will.
Who said that, Aaron?
Yeah, that was Aaron.
Yay, Aaron. Wow. We knew Nick was getting his smarts from somewhere. All right.
I pay her all that money that comes in.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Olga and Uta too.
Yay, Olga.
And
So, yeah.
Anna.
And Connie.
Oh my God. That's why I didn't make a bet. Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, the Buddha would go on to say, look, there's no husband in the kitchen now. There never was, and there never will be. Okay. And you are mad about, literally, you are mad about nothing. Okay. All right. That's the application of these ideas. Is in the kitchen. Yay. Okay. Where I'm spending much more time. I'm thinking nowadays the refrigerator is my altar. I spend more time taking care of it than my altar. I don't know. Okay. Okay, here we go. Ben, DeYoung.
Hey Yang, Pombola Tume de Yenkar Pa Shik Chung Na Rangya Tupa Yimba La Rangya Tup Mitu Ni Kansak Rang Dok Ne Yingi Shindok La Mimbe Dutsu Yete Yigi Nam She Kansak Tu Dupa Namgi De Zeye De Be Chiro.
Okay, this is a really, really difficult sentence. It's going to impress Dave, I hope, or confuse everybody, including me. Okay. Deyan Pumbola Temetu. We're still talking about Ben. Okay. We're still talking about Ben. Now, is there a Ben who doesn't depend on his parts? How would you compare that to the Lord and the slaves? You see, even on your income tax, Ezra is a dependent, right?
Yeah.
But you're not a dependent of Ezra. You see what I mean?
Right.
So, you know, the parts, Ben's body and mind is owned by Ben, but Ben doesn't depend on his parts, okay? He is Yengarwa, difficult word. He is like, it means Yengarwa means is separate, isolated, something like that.
Mhm.
Separate and above his body and mind. You know, that's why you can cut off a finger and Ben is still there. We say Ben lost his finger, right? We
Mhm.
don't say Ben got cut off of Ben or something like that. Okay, so this is like some idealized, okay, which is going to be important in this sentence.
Mhm.
Some idealized independent guy. Okay, you could almost say a Christian soul. Okay,
Mhm.
so here's this Yengarwa guy, this isolated, idealized guy who doesn't depend on his body and mind. You know, if he lost his mind, he'd still be Ben. You'd say Ben lost his mind.
Mhm.
And if he got his arm cut off, you'd still say Ben got his arm cut off. Okay, so okay, Shikchungna. That's what Rangyatupa means. Okay,
Okay.
if there were such a thing, okay, that's important. Shikchungna. What do you call that? What's that verb called?
Chung-
Theoretical case.
Optative?
Optative? Yeah.
Optative, yeah, optative. If it past tense, right?
Mhm.
If it were to happen, we say it in English also. We use the past tense, you know. If there were such a guy, well, okay, that's, and by the way, you have to say that or you're going to get in trouble on the debate ground, right?
Mhm.
If there were such a Ben who was the boss of his body and mind and who could lose his body and mind or parts of his body and mind,
Right.
then that's what we call Rangyatupa.
Self-standing.
Yeah. Now it gets more difficult. Okay. Now it gets much more difficult. And let's do some preparation for jumping into this shark infested area. We got to talk about. Let me see here. Shindog and Rangdog. Okay. Okay, Shindog and Randog.
Okay.
And I kind of want to take it to, let's start here. Okay, this is the easiest part. This is a very difficult nut to crack. And we're going to start here. Yiki Namsha Kansak to do for $0 because I'm out of money.
Yeah. Yuki Namshe, the person's, the mental awareness of the person.
Yeah, the awareness of his mind
Yeah.
is Kansak.
Is the person believing that that's the person.
Yeah, and there are schools of Buddhism, I think the lower middle way, who say that the witness mind is the real Ben.
Mm-hmm.
The guy who listens to Ben's thoughts is the real Ben. Okay, so there's a school of Buddhism that says when you look for Kansa, when you look for Ben,
Yeah.
it's the guy at the end of the road who's watching everything else going on, but doesn't have anybody watching him. Okay, so it's the person who's listening to his thoughts is the real Ben. Okay, so now we got to talk about that person. You know, is he? I want to say, can we call it Rangsen and Chitsen?
Yeah, that's funny. I was thinking that. I was going to
Okay.
ask that.
And by the way, in Adam's text, which I think is coming up next, is it today?
He is today.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to get into this, maybe. We're going to get into this very topic. Okay, so anyway, let's talk about Shindog and Rangdog. Okay, and I'll take it to be, what is it? Rangten
Rangsen and Chitsen.
Chitsen, but forget the Rang. Okay, I'm thinking Rangdog here is idealized, like the archetype, and Shindog is the actual example, like Senshi, right? Senshi.
Okay.
Like the thing you're defining. Okay.
Classical example.
Yeah. So this is a tough sentence. Okay. And here we go. If there were a person who was standing out there, isolated, independent of the body and mind, like the Ben who owns Ben's body and owns Ben's mind, that's what we mean by self-standing.
Right.
Now, what percent of what we're talking about is self-standing? It's only 50%. We say Rangya Tupe Zeyut.
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
We say substantial in the sense of self-standing.
Mhm.
Substantial in the sense of self-standing. So here he defines the self-standing.
Right.
And then down here, he's going to talk about the substantial part. He
Cool.
wants to split it. Okay, he wants to split it. We've been translating it as substantial
In the sense
in the
of,
sense of self-standing.
but
This author, very cool. He wants to split it and explain the parts to us separately. Okay.
it's the same author who taught us to do it together because that was from.
Yeah. Okay. And I think this is totally awesome because, Rangya Tupidzeya is an extremely difficult idea. So he's trying to break it up for us and make it easier for us. Okay, cool. So look, you want to know what's self-standing, sorry. You want to know what self-standing is? Well, that's a Ben who could own his body and mind, but doesn't depend on them. But his body and mind depend on him, okay? Without Ben, they disappear. But Ben can lose his hand and Ben can lose his mind, okay? Got it? So the dependence only goes one way. All right. Now, what would be an example? What's an example of either being self-standing or not being self-standing? What's the distinction? Okay. Rangya Tup, take a breath, me too. Rangya Tup, me too. Okay. What's the distinction between being self-standing and not? Well, it all depends on the Rangdok. That distinction comes from whether we're talking about Ben as an idea or Ben as an actual thing.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Saying whether he's self-standing or not, the question of whether he's self-standing or not, by the way, which is a good way to translate tup me tup, okay? The question of whether he's self-standing or not depends on whether or not Ben is like a soul, like a theoretical thing, okay? Or is Ben something you can touch, something you can see, okay? Shindo la mimba. So if he's a Rangdok, he's Rangya Tupa. He's self-standing.
Yes.
If he's theoretical. And if he's a Shindo, he couldn't be self-standing. He would be Rangya Mitup. So connect the tup to Rangdok Neyin and connect the Mitup to Shindo la min.
Yes.
Okay, he's not, but he's not. The question of whether he's self-standing or not derives from whether he's some kind of idealized being, or whether he's an actual dude, and in this case, he's not. Okay, so there is a school of thought. Okay, Dutsu Yute means there is a school of thought that says the difference between self-standing and not self-standing derives from whether you're talking about Ben as an idea or Ben as a guy who's standing and Ben not as a guy standing there. Okay, got it? And that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense. Ben as a guy standing there could not own his body and mind. He would be his body.
Right.
Okay, and Ben as an idea, or Ben as an idealized master, owner of his body and mind, that would be self-standing. And then if Ben died and his body stopped and his mind stopped, Ben could go to heaven, for example, okay? Because he's just an idealized being who owns his body and mind, got it? If he were his body and mind, Shindo, then he would disappear when he died, okay? That's all. So there is a school of thought that thinks like this, okay? And that those who believe that the awareness, the witness mind is Ben, they would have to say Ben is Zeyut. He is the Shindo, okay? They would have to say there is a Ben sitting there all the time, not some idealized Ben who owns his body and mind, not some soul who went to heaven after the body and mind disappeared. There is a school of thought. So starting here, there's a separate school of thought, okay? There's people who say, if you say that part of Ben's mind is Ben, then you have to say that Ben is Shindo and not Rangdo, okay? And Zeye is the same as Shindo, okay? Kuma.
Okay, so Dupanam meaning guys who believe that.
Yeah.
Like
Dupanam, yeah, guys who, yeah, there's guys who believe that the witness mind is Ben.
mhm.
And for them, I think what he's saying is, for them, you'd have to switch the presentation a bit. They would say he's substantial, okay?
Okay.
They would say he's substantial because he's mind. He is mind. Ben is mind, okay?
So
that's a little bit different.
how are you connecting? I'm a little bit fuzzy on how Zeye is connected just grammatically here to the Yiki Number Shepa guys.
Yeah, and you know, it's easy, and we might have to go further on this next time or something. But Zeye, it kind of seems to contradict the Rangya Tupa guys. Okay, in this case, because Zeye here means substantial. Okay, he's not an idea. Ben is not an idea. Ben is part of Ben's mind. Okay. And he listens to Ben's mind. He's in back of the mind, listening to the mind. He's like Shishin and Jumba, right?
Mhm.
He's like the part of your meditation where you're supposed to watch your meditation and see if you get distracted or see if you get sleepy. So there's a part of your mind that's watching your mind, which is called Yiki Number Shipa. Okay.
I'm a little confused also. I'm sorry about the day after the agentive. Like,
oh yeah, there is a way in which you can read this. Okay, there are people who believe that it's not this way. Okay, there are people who believe that it's not this way. In which case, I'm reversed here. Okay, then this would be Rangten. I like to do this later. This is Rangten, and later.
oh wow.
I do this to myself sometimes when I change my mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then because I'm still not sure. So I give myself choices. Okay. Maybe it's reversed. Okay.
Okay.
There is a way in which people believe, Dutsu Yute, that Ben is not the idealized one,
Yeah.
but he is the actual one. Okay. The actual example.
And we're assuming
Then we read Rangdok as Rangten, okay?
we're assuming both of these groups are within the lower middle way.
I think so, yeah. I believe this discussion where the witness mind is considered me is a lower middle way idea. Yeah, I think that's true, yeah. In which case to reverse these would make more sense.
Okay.
So you chew on it.
I will.
Okay. But it's an interesting Dutsu Yute. There are people who believe the following. Okay, cool.
Yep. Okay.
This extremely difficult paragraph. If Dave's not impressed by now, you never will be. Okay. All right, let's go with something easier. Please read. Seiji's gonna check you.
Nipa lamgi namshala.
Okay, keep going.
Okay. Lamnga sachu sok pelcherni ngar tong dashing dear kong du ma shepa kong shik kyang yepar chela umatang gyurwa tumong mingbe kyepar ni ngar she chikche par yang che do.
Okay, cool. I went and got you the Nipa, okay, which I always try to do just because it helps me understand how to read it, okay?
Good, yeah.
we were discussing the Jumta Dutsu of the Umatangyowa.
Right.
What's that?
Yeah. So the in reference to the higher middle way school, which is the consequence branch of the middle way school, we were going to talk about the three parts of their actual beliefs, which we divided into their original state, the
Nice.
path, and
Yeah.
the result of the path. And
Yeah,
now
great.
the path.
Great, perfect. Most people get stuck on the she, but you did it correctly. Yeah, the original condition of reality, which we just finished describing with the master and the servants and all that.
Yeah.
And now what are we going to do about that?
Great.
Okay, if that's your misperception that you are in charge of your parts, then Lam means how are we going to treat that medically? You know, what's the path we're going to use to treat it? And then after we treat it, where do you go? What's the result of that? Okay, so we reached the second part in the presentation of the higher middle way. And we've been treating each school in terms of how do they think reality was when we started? How do they think you're supposed to do your spiritual practice? And then what's going to happen if you do that spiritual practice? Okay, so we reached the second part with regard to the highest school of all. Here we go. Their presentation, the higher middle way presentation of the Lamnga and the Satchu.
Of the 5 paths and the 10 levels.
Yeah, Pilche Ngadanda.
Mostly it's like we already presented before.
Yeah, and by the way, that you always say the Pilcher in this case in that tone of voice. Pilcher, which means, I don't know, your mother says, are you telling the truth about the date you went on? And you say, mostly, mostly, okay. So most of what they believe about the 5 paths and the 10 levels is like we said it before, but what's a big difference, for example, in the 5 paths? The higher middle way wouldn't say there's 3 tracks and you see different levels of emptiness on different tracks, okay?
Right.
That's why it says mostly, okay?
Uh-huh.
But in this section, I'm gonna give you some kongtu mashepas.
Oh, some things that don't agree with that presentation.
No, kongtu mashe. I didn't shit.
Oh, I didn't explain?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a few points I didn't explain already in this text, okay?
Mhm.
And in fact, gashik means a couple of points, right?
Okay.
In fact, I'm going to gepache.
I'm going to expand.
Yeah, I'm going to give you like a really thorough explanation, okay? Now, I have to say that a few of the Tumo Mayembe kepars of this school,
Few of the like special features of this school that don't agree with the other
right?
school.
Yeah, exactly. I have to say, ngar shit.
I did cover earlier.
Yeah, I already covered some of them. Okay, I covered some of their unique points, but there are also ones that I'm going to chipar, which chipar Gyur. I added Gyur. He should have written Gyur. Okay.
Okay, but there are others that I will expand on.
Yeah, great. That I'm going to tell you here. Okay. Great. You're doing great. Okay, please read next line. Seiji, you're still watching him in case he leaves out a word, I guess.
Okay.
Therefore, let's proceed in 2 steps. First, let's discuss the pangjas of the lam.
Yeah, the stuff that you give up by following the path.
Yeah, are there things you eliminate within yourself by following the spiritual path?
Okay.
And then let's get into the lam ginamja ngur.
The actual path by which we eliminate these things.
Good, yeah. Then let's describe the actual path. Perfect. Okay, here's the first one, which is what are we trying to eliminate through this spiritual path according to the highest school of Buddhism, right?
Yeah.
Please read.
Hamboni ngopo dembar zembe denzin sok denzin sabun tang cheba nyundrup yin la de tekpa che chungi dra chomba tam che gi pang par mdepe.
Okay, cool. Okay, here's the first one. What are you trying to get rid of
Mhm.
through your spiritual practice? Well, first of all, we're trying to get rid of Denzin.
Yeah, holding to things as being true or truly existent.
Yeah. Take it to the kitchen.
Yeah, believing in a husband who's yelling at you for no reason.
Good. Like he's real. Okay.
Mhm.
He's coming from his side. We can say coming from his side.
Mhm.
Okay. So that tendency to see things as real, which holds things as being real. Okay. He's just explaining what's Denzin. Okay. The tendency to think of things as real, which holds things as being real. Okay.
Why ngupo? Does specifically functioning things or just
That's a great question. I would say no. I'd say it's Baba. It's stuff. Okay, all the stuff in the universe. Okay.
things?
Yeah, things exactly. It's a good question. Denzin, etc. Along with the sabans
Yeah, the seeds for believing that things are real.
are what is stopping you from reaching.
Nirvana.
Good. Yeah. Therefore, in this school, the tendency to see the husband as not being your fault is a mental affliction. It is a negative thought. Okay.
Okay.
There are some schools which say it's not.
Yeah, right.
Okay. But in this school, it is.
Yeah.
And the implication of that is if you got rid of it, you would become an arhat and you would be free from the world of pain.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. If you stop thinking that your husband came from his own side and you took responsibility for how he's yelling because you understood it came from the seeds you put in your mind when you yelled at your kids. Okay, got it?
Yeah.
But seeds here means what? What kind of seeds are we talking about?
The seeds to see things as being
Yeah.
truly existent or being real.
Yeah, the seeds to see things that's coming from their own side, for example.
Yeah.
So to reach nirvana in the highest school of Buddhism, you must get rid of the tendency and
the seeds for that tendency.
good. And the deep seeds, which are extremely deep, the most subtle areas of your mind, tiny areas of your mind. Okay, you have to stop those seeds. Okay. And this school believes that all Drachumbas,
all arhats,
whether they be Tekpa Chambo or Tekpa Chung,
Mahayana or Hinayana, higher or lower track vehicle.
Yeah, and if your friend were listening in on your class, how would you say it?
Oh, whether they are intent on getting themselves out of suffering or whether they are intent on getting everyone out of suffering.
Perfect. Totally perfect. You're really hot today. Okay. Yeah. So whether this person entering nirvana is doing so just for themselves or whether they're doing it to be able to help everyone in the universe, they all have to get rid of what?
They all have to get rid of both this tendency and the seeds for this tendency.
Nice. Perfect. And doesn't that cover what he promised, which was, I'm going to teach you about what you get rid of. Okay. Lamgi Pangja, right? Okay. All right. Now he's going to refer it back to the lower middle way. So the highest school of Buddhism has two groups. And how does this differ from what the lower group in the highest school thinks?
Cool. Rangyupa tar denzin nam shedrip tu che te muntok yenle sagula ni chembo yi she sok ich she pa tar denzin che jing chung mu gu tek chen gom lam par che me lam gu rimgi pongwe nam shak nam mi sheto.
Yeah, now this is a really inconvenient sentence. Okay. So let's start at the end, okay?
Okay.
Our higher branch of the middle way, Mishe,
Doesn't say, doesn't accept.
yeah, doesn't accept like the Rangipas.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then everything between is what the lower school believes, okay? So
Okay.
you got to jump around in the syntax of this sentence, okay? Okay, so our higher middle way school does not accept the presentation as it is given, tar,
Yes.
by the lower branch, okay? And then now everything in between is the lower branch's weird idea, all right? So here we go. Denzin nam, these tendencies to think things are coming from their own side. Let's make it easy for Dave, okay? That the tendency to think the husband is yelling from his own side, okay? And by the way, there's two tendencies there.
Oh, to think the husband is coming from his own side, as well as to think that his parts or the refrigerator is coming from his own side.
Perfect. His red face, his high volume of his voice, that these are, or the refrigerators behind him is coming from their side, okay? The lower middle way school says, these are not nyunjib, these are shijib.
Right. They're not obstacles to reaching nirvana. They're obstacles to reaching omniscience.
Yeah, or enlightenment, right, good. And in support of their position, they quote Muntokyen.
The Abhisamaya Lankara by Asanga.
Yeah.
Or by Maitreya.
Yeah, one of the 5 great books of the next Buddha to come in this world, who's closer than we think sometimes. And he wrote a book called The Jewel of, what do you call it? The Jewel of Realizations, right? And we studied it for 12 years in the monastery, and it's only 50 pages, okay? So, and yeah, every kid memorizes it in the monastery, okay? So it says, Sagulani Chembo Yi, okay? And here's the full quotation. I went and got it for you, okay?
Cool.
Where is that? Sagulani Chembo Yi. I should have made it bigger, right?
Okay.
Come on. I can't access my, yeah, I'll have to do it later. Okay. Anyway, generally there's divisions of greater, medium, and lesser to the different levels, okay? Nine divisions. So what's that talking about? 9 divisions, okay? Sagulani, what's these divisions to the 9 of the bhumis, okay? What are they talking about? Denzin, okay, can be, let me see, okay, now note, be careful here, okay? The grosser forms of believing that the husband is real, that's not your fault, right? The grosser forms, the medium forms, and the subtle forms, there are 9, okay? By the way, they are Cheki Che, Cheki Ding, Cheki Chung, Dingi Che, Ding Ding, Dingi Chung, Chungi Che, Chungi Ding, Chungi Chung, okay? The 3 levels of big, medium, and small in the big, medium, and small in the medium, and big, medium, and small in the small, okay? Which makes 9, okay? Teichen Gomlam Parte Melam, Gopo. So there are 9 degrees of this tendency to think things are real. And there are 9 degrees of the path of habituation, which overcome them, okay? So there are 9 degrees of the path, which relate to 9 different degrees of misunderstanding, okay?
Yeah.
And by the way, we are talking Parchimelam.
Isn't that part of the Tonglam?
This is the uninterrupted path.
Yeah, but you also have Parchimelams and Gomlam.
Oh, because you go into deep meditation, moving from one bhumi to another?
Well, yeah, but even inside of Gomam, after you get there, you are still perceiving emptiness directly from time to time,
Okay.
but not all the time, but because you're not a Buddha yet, but you are still, this Pachimelam means you are in the direct perception of emptiness, okay? So there are 9 degrees of the direct perception of emptiness, which eliminate 9 degrees of the tendency to think that the husband is coming from his own side, okay?
Yeah.
And therefore,
Yeah.
you're gonna get into 9 degrees of emptiness.
Okay.
And that's Miche.
We don't buy it.
Yeah, we don't buy it. Look, it's either emptiness or it's not. Okay, there's no degrees of emptiness.
Yeah.
Okay, the higher school says, and by the way, this is exactly why way up above at the beginning today. Oh, sorry, here. Pelgerda. Okay.
Mostly.
Most of their presentation of the path is similar to the lower schools, but here's a part that's not.
Never.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, very cool, very cool.
It is.
We're pretty
I
much.
threw in some jet. We out of time probably.
Mhm.
I threw in some. There's a nice discussion by Jetson Kappa about these 9, and let's do it for dessert next time, okay?
Great. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, just to get them clear in our head. Stopped here. Today is 24, 24. Cool.
Cool, boss.
All right, good job.
Sashi Puki Jukshin Meto Drum Gida Lingshin Minde Gembadi Sangye Shingdu Mikte Huar Nandak Shingla Chupar Sho Irang Guru Rana Mandala Kaniryatayami Gewadi Keokun Sunam Yeshe Tok Tok Shing Sunam Yeshe Lechungwe Tabar Kuni Topar Sho. Thanks, boss. Thanks.
Yeah, you're making progress. You're not as far as Utpala, but you're getting there.
Cool. A lot of fun.
Thank you, Geshe-la.
Yay.
Thanks for coming, Dave.
Thank you guys a lot.
Okay, bon